now as an adult, trying to manage money, I guess the fear is always, is there going to be enough? I know I have enough now. Is there going to be enough for me when I retire? Am I going to be able to retire, or do I have to work until I drop dead? And I think that that's probably a big fear for a lot of people, is not is there enough now, but is there going to be enough?
The prodromo icon, the icon of John the Baptist, with those fiery wings, those are the wings of a prophet. And the prophetic aspect of stewardship is speaking the word boldly and kindly. And this prophet of John the Baptist, speaking the truth, is this work we do that works against the resistance of people in the church and elsewhere who would say, no, I don't want this conversation in our churches, and I want to just come to church and have it a peaceful, soft, gentle place where I'm not talked about money. Well, that's actually not what the church is about. The church is a place, a loving place to be transformed. And that's why we go to church. There is some awe and some silence and some beauty, but there's this transformation and conversion of life. Do you have any idea how many times I hear these words? I love what you're doing, Charles, but I need to tell you that our church is, what do you think the word is? Different. Our church is different. Really? That's pathologically narcissistic of you. How extraordinary. How fabulous that you're so special. What is so small in you that you need to be that big? Why are you compensating in that way? Do you have very large tires on your car? I mean, what's going on here? So this leads me to this conversation of resistance. Because if you can get past the two cancers of the spiritual life around nostalgia and fantasy, then you're going to be able to engage in issues around resistance. So what is resistance? Resistance is, no, I don't want to talk about stewardship, I don't want to do stewardship, I don't want to give money. And this is something that we need to talk about, because it is essential to being a prophet in your church. And every one of you going, whether you like it or not, here's the bad news or the good news, you're going back as a prophet with a message. And I think you probably remember what happened to John the Baptist. I have the distinct honor, I'm so thrilled. All my friends have these prayer cards for their birthday, because they have, you know, I'm on St. Swithin's Day, or I'm on St. Margaret's Day, or I'm on St. My birthday, August 29th, the feast of the beheading of John the Baptist. I'm like, thank you very much, Mother, to start me off just on that trajectory, you know. My formula for leadership in the church, not entirely popular, but don't care. Kind plus effective minus nice. Kind plus effective minus nice. That's a good leader in the church. You know, nice. Darling, that's a lovely hat you have on. It looks so well on you. You know, that kind of thing. Nice. Not helpful. Happens a lot. Kind, very important. Effective, very, very important. And people get cranky with me when I'm working among churches and looking at numbers. Well, but Charles, my ministry is so much more than these numbers. My average Sunday attendance has plummeted, yes, but I love these people. Okay, you know what? I need you to love those people, but I also need your average Sunday attendance not to plummet from 90 to 30 in 6 years. You know? And we need to talk honestly and openly about why that is. And yes, I'm sure you have a loving, warm relationship with your congregation. So, you know, so it's the both and, effective and kind, minus nice. A story I want to tell you. I talk to people a lot about this, and I was talking to one of our clergy at one point in an Episcopal church, and she is a gorgeous, wonderful example of priesthood, and she was using my manual, which is online, although it's about to be taken off because the version you've got is the updated version. And she was saying, do you know, Charles, I love you, but if I do this, I won't have a congregation. I mean, these people are really cranky, and they have a contract with me that I am not allowed to know what they pledge, and I am not allowed to talk about money. And we have this contract, and if I break that contract, I have bills to pay. I have a mortgage, I have car payments, and I have debt from school. So I love your manual and all, but these people, this is not going to go well. And so, breathing exercises, a tiny bit of scotch, and we were fine, right? And so she launches the campaign for the first time, because in the past it had just been a letter and hope for the best, right? Which a horrific abrogation of responsibility by the leadership, but just abandon your people to not have this conversation. So it was a letter and hope for the best. Thank God God didn't do that, because I think that was probably the plan with Psalms, and then that plan didn't work, so then it was like the Jesus thing. And so anyhow, so she's like, okay, we're not going to do the letter thing, we're going to do the campaign plan thing, but I need you to coach me through this because I'm hyperventilating. So she launches her campaign. Her vestry says, no, we don't want to do this. It's too in your face. It's too aggressive. Our church is different. Say it again. Our church is different. Right, of course it is. So she's like, their vestry said, but our church is different, right? Because we have this endowment, so we don't really need to raise the money. So we have a contract with you that we pay your salary by endowment. So we're living this life on the shoulders of dead people, and we don't even have a responsibility to give. So not only are you not allowed to ask us to increase our pledge, you're not allowed to ask us to pledge anything at all, because our grandmothers made this possible. So it was going to be a fight. And she's like, I'm going to do this anyhow, and I've called my bishop, and he has my back, and the vestry is not very happy. And so she launches the program, and she does the ministry minutes, she does the pledge cards differently, she has people come to kickoffs, she has people come to closing events, she has weekly flyers that tell them how the campaign's going, she's getting hate mail about getting this mail. I don't want to know about my church, I don't want to know how well it's doing. This is rude and wrong, this is disgraceful. You just spent money on paper you didn't need to. It was all that drama, and she's like, Charles, this is not going well. I can't do this. Finally, the two patriarchs, the brothers, in their 90s, although they looked like 300, said they were going to pull their pledge. And that was 30% of her budget. They were too wealthy, the front few. The people who had always had the front pew for like 100,000 years. She gets to the end of the campaign. People have been getting mailings every week. People have been hearing stories every week about what the church means to these people. People have been told how many new pledges came in that week. They've been told how many have increased their pledge. Really gritty stuff. I'll never forget this moment. I was driving through the Notch. Now, you all have mountains, so you know this. The mountains were gorgeous. And my cell phone rang, and it was 7:30. And it's always the bishop when it's 7:30, because we're both in pulpits, right? But it wasn't the bishop. It was this person, this friend, this woman who has been managing this campaign. She called me. She says, I'm calling with a confession. And I'm thinking, okay, she totally bailed. She withdrew all of the program and went back to the contract of secrecy and silence. But she said, I'm calling to confess that I am feeling intensely smug and even righteously angry. And I said, you really shouldn't do that. Put that down. Don't play with that. It's dangerous. And she said, I know, but I'm having such a good time because I'm about to mount this pulpit, and those two I hate having a camera here because my language can't be colorful. I want to express myself. So those two old men are going to be in that pulp, and they've withdrawn their pledge, and I'm going to get up there and I'm going to tell that congregation that we met our goal without those pledges. And I said, you must not do that. Those two men, they may be intransient and cranky, but they are loved by God, and don't hurt them and don't shame them. Just talk over them. Talk past them to the people who made this possible, and don't ever refer to that schism. And she did, and she celebrated, and they celebrated, and they had a chocolate strawberry buffet after the service to thank the congregation for getting through the campaign. So they rented those things that were the chocolate flows, and they had baskets of strawberries, and everybody was dipping strawberries. It was so much, it sounded so great. Then, as if that wasn't enough, they came to her office that week and they made their pledge. God loved them, they made their pledge. 130% of their goal. Not to mention having transformed a group of people and helped them in their conversion of life. And what I'm here to tell you is that that's not the only story like that. There are lots of stories out there of great conversions of individuals, and those stories are in lesser feasts and fasts. But there are also stories out there of conversions of clergy, conversions of wardens, and conversions of congregations. And those stories are right now happening often around stewardship and money. And what I said to her is what I'm going to say to you, because there are going to be some of you in this group who have an image of someone in a congregation who might be an awful lot like those two patriarchs. And what I say to you is this: do not let any one person hijack the conversion of your congregants.